catching my own typos. Me and my whole family, we're all mildly dyslexic, and it makes it really, really difficult to.
Yeah.
That's why if you ever watch my stories and stuff, almost always has some typo, even though I checked it like 4 times.
Sure. Yeah. Whatever. You can get the point across.
Right, exactly. I think that's the most important part.
Yeah.
But anyway, we are live. What's up, Cash Physical Therapist? Hope we're all having a fantastic week so far. I got a really, really exciting interview for all of you here today. Dr. Nathan Prissle, who's been working with us for the last 5 months. And what was really unique about this scenario is, well, actually, what I loved about Nathan's story is how relatable it is to a lot of the people that I talk to on a daily basis inside of this community. And so I wanted to bring him out here live because he just did something that was truly amazing and is the first big milestone that a lot of people have to get over in order to actually start to go all in on their practice, go full time, and truly build something that creates, the lifestyle that they want, and to be able to have the time freedom where they can not only create world-class outcomes for their patients, but also be able to have a world-class relationship with their families. And so I wanted to bring Nathan out here. I'm going to let him share his journey with all of you because I think it's really motivating and really inspiring. But I want everyone in here, if you're watching this live, to help me celebrate Nathan here, because he just cracked his first $11,000 month last month, and that is a big freaking deal. I don't know the actual metrics, but I would bet close to 90% of cash physical therapy practices that get started never reach that milestone. And so have you taken a moment to celebrate that for yourself yet?
Just like the pat on the back. I should do. I'm taking a little bit of a small vacation in May, and that's going to be our little celebration. So
good. It's long. You got to celebrate every single step of those things. How does it feel to have, made that kind of progress?
Yeah, sometimes it's surreal because I think you can have I could have a lot of self-doubt of selling my product, selling my service, and doing it with confidence. But all the training that you guys do helps, I guess, build all of that confidence. I'm not anything special. I follow the training and I practice. And sure, if I mess up on some of the scripts early on, as I'm trying to kind of make them a little bit my own, that's okay. The confidence level has improved, and obviously there's always going to be room to improve, but it feels really good. I can start to see like some of those dreams actually be a reality, whereas in the past it was like, I don't know where to start.
Right. Now, I think a lot of people are experiencing currently what you had formerly gone through, and that's why I thought it'd be so powerful to bring you out here. So thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm excited to go into it. So for all the people who are watching this live and for catching the replay, would you mind just giving us a little bit of backstory on you, who you work with, a little bit about your practice?
Yeah. So I guess I've been a physical therapist now about 7 years. I started out at a outpatient rehab facility, which was really good. I was there for 5 years and learned a ton. I had mentorships with physical therapists who had specialty training. I don't necessarily have my own specialty yet, but I'm looking into getting something. But it's neat to where this model is I don't need that. And that was actually one of the hurdles that I thought was, will people actually want to come to me if I'm not necessarily a certified specialist in this? Not to say that those aren't valuable, because they definitely are, and I would like to get that, but it was one of those things that kind of was a hurdle. So I was there for 5 years. Then I changed jobs to a private practice facility that was actually led by a personal trainer, and it was neat because I saw how a private practice out of network model could work. So I saw it, and people were paying for it, and they were enjoying it, and they saw the benefit of a little bit more personalized care, to where they were not just one out of, I don't know, 15 to 20 clients that you're seeing in a day. So I got to see some hands-on workings. However, there were some, I don't know, just organizational things that, as I was helping bring on other therapists, it was just not very organized, and it was overwhelming for new therapists. So I also saw and learned how I need to be more organized, like if I want to grow. And when I honestly don't remember how I found Clinical Marketer. I don't know. I think like God works things, and however it happens, it happens.
Mhm.
And when you guys said like this system is built specifically for cash-based practices, and then learning about kind of the organization, like the CM Hub stuff, like, I don't know, I think that's a godsend. Like, to be able to keep track of all this stuff and all of the like administrative work has been awesome. So I started with Clinical Marketer after working with another group, where it was really mainly focused on workshops. And I wasn't really having success getting other gyms to jump on board with that, nor was I don't know. I'm not that pushy of a person, and maybe that's maybe I'm too passive at times. But knowing that we live in the 21st century where there's digital marketing, it's like, how can I not take a more direct, like I need to take advantage of that. I just don't know how. And that's like where one of your guys' big strengths was, and it was super attractive. And since I started working with you guys in November, like, I mean, I'm pretty darn close right now this last month to working at my like max capacity as a treatment therapist, which is it's really cool. It's really cool. I wouldn't have thought that I would be here. I know Ty, I started right before Thanksgiving, and as you're talking to family members at Thanksgiving and you're not really that successful yet, you're kind of like, yeah, I don't really want to talk about it a whole lot because I'm not having a ton of business yet. But he said, hey man, by the time Christmas comes, guaranteed you're going to be having a lot more exciting conversations about your business. And sure enough, like he was right. And then it's been steady growth since, which is cool. And that leads me to where I'm at today.
That makes me so happy to hear, man. And that, what you said about the family members asking about the business, that hit home for me, and maybe it hit home for some of the people listening to this. But how many of you have been adamant enough about building your business that you've been doing it for a while? Maybe you haven't been getting the success that you thought you would at this point, and it's to the point where you're tired of people asking you like, oh, how's business? Or even worse, when people stop asking you about how's business. That one stings too, when you start to notice people aren't asking anymore because it's been that long. I know I went through that. If you have been through that, as I know Nathan has, drop a me in the comments, just because there's a lot of people dealing with a lot of stuff and they're internalizing it and they're not sharing it. They're not realizing like how many other people are dealing with that stuff too, and how important that is in the process of becoming a successful entrepreneur and becoming the version of ourselves that's able to create the level of impact that we're trying to create within our community. So that one really hit me, Nate. I'm sorry, I called you Nate. Do you go by Nate or Nathan?
I introduced myself as Nathan, but if people call me Nate, I don't care.
Okay, cool. So before you found us, you mentioned that you were doing a lot of workshops. Talk me through what things were like before you found us. What were the strategies you were doing that were getting patients? And I guess, what were the good, the bad, and the ugly of all
So
that?
I'm going to clarify. I never actually ended up doing a workshop because I didn't have gyms agree to it. I tried, but we have two young kids. Our youngest was born mid-October, and I just I realized that those, for me at least, those workshops were going to just be taking too much time away. Um, and I was okay with paying a little bit for advertisement to save my time, especially when the return of investment is good. Where I was at was, I guess, like when you start something new, I think, I'm sure there's some term for it, but you are kind of on like a high, and like everything is really fun and exciting and new. But then, like, fortunately, again, for me, like, my wife is still working. She has a good job, so we could afford to, for me to not be making a lot of income right away. But my level of growth, I have a working relationship with a local gym, a local Snap Fitness gym, and um, the referrals from them wasn't as strong or as consistent as what I was kind of anticipating. So I was, and then I was also reaching out to just local, not not like the big box clinics, but smaller
Yeah.
private clinics, and doing a lot of one-to-one meetings that I don't know, they never quite had like a consistent referral source. So
Right.
I was like, I need something consistent to at least kind of keep me above water,
Mhm.
as I continue to work on those relationships, because those relationships weren't being as fruitful as quickly, and that's, I think, normal and natural. So I guess I don't know, was I at a point of like desperation? No, I don't know if I was quite there, but I'm like, I need something that can take away some of the pressure of me being like desperate to work with anyone.
Yeah.
Um, and that's what you guys have provided, and way more. So hopefully that answered
Good.
your
Yeah, it does suck having to talk to people and almost kind of suck up to them, because you really do at this point. Like, you need to get patients in the door, and it does kind of flip the whole world on its head when you're able to get your own patients, and now you can go talk to those people from a position of, I don't need this, but it'd be cool if we could, collaborate and help each other grow.
Yeah,
Definitely does kind of shift everything on its head. So when
yeah.
you were when you were doing the workshops and doing the networking strategy, what, like, was your revenue looking like before obviously jumping in with us?
Yeah, I mean, I just started my practice officially. My lease started in October here.
Okay.
Plus I also have a next door chiropractor that I had good meetings with, and I thought I was going to be getting some more referrals that way, and it just didn't really come.
Yeah.
Um, but I was just under 2 grand, like, for a few months, and obviously that's, but it was stagnant. Like, it
Yeah.
wasn't a continued growth. It was to be honest, it was like a former client of mine, which unfortunately, where I worked in the past, was like 35 to 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
Um, so, like, not a lot of my clientele are appropriate or want to drive that far.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was less than ideal.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people are kind of in that same boat. If you don't mind me asking, like, how did that feel to be putting in that kind of work, hustling, putting
Yeah,
yourself out there, and you know
yeah.
being
I mean, it
stuck
was
there?
it was one of those ones where, I mean, it didn't feel good, but I also wasn't going to give up. I mean, you can easily be tempted to think through and say, man, just being an employee, like, is way easier. But then I just remind myself all the things that I didn't care about being an employee, and being able to provide the type of service and quality service that I want. So that was like the driver, plus bigger dreams, bigger life dreams of what do I want for my family. So it didn't feel good, but I needed more help. And I knew that.
Yeah.
I guess I had to admit that to myself.
Yeah, and so giving up was never an option for you. You never
Right.
had a moment where you're like, I'm close. You're like, no matter how hard it gets or how hard it is, I'm going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, did that thought cross my mind? Yeah, but did I quickly like get a hold of it and say, no, that's not an option? Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Good. Good. And I think that's a very common theme between the people that just kind of crash and burn and never get going is that they're only like halfway in. But if you burn your boats and it's like, no matter what, no matter how much this sucks, I'm going to fight through it. That's definitely a key characteristic to the people that I see making it to 50K, 70K months. So it's exciting to hear from you. So
I think too, if I can add something there was,
yeah.
like the clients that I had already had a previous connection to. So I wasn't necessarily sold on my processes being scalable or reproducible.
Yeah.
And that I remember having a conversation with my dad once of like, once I get a couple clients that it's my first contact with, and I can get them on board with a plan of care and deliver and get good feet, like then I know I'm doing something right. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a different world when you're selling to a total stranger versus someone who's like a friend or family member or a referral even.
Yeah. Yep.
So kind of going back on that, maybe that's something that you can touch on, but like earlier on before things really started to turn around for you, what were the biggest mistakes that you looking back, you're like, I'm a goofball for doing it like that? Any big mistakes that you could highlight for some of the people who might be making those today?
Big mistakes. This is where I know there were some. I'm not prideful to where I don't make mistakes.
Selective memory. I've never made a
Well,
mistake. It
yeah, I
just
mean, some of those, yeah, any big mistakes here? I don't know if there was like major things. I think it was making sure that I was getting training from someone who would help me with the organizational process of the practical implementation of systems versus just like kind of the overarching ideas. I don't know if that's, I don't know, you live and you learn, and I don't know if it's necessarily like a mistake, but if I looked back, like I wish I would have found you guys before I did some other stuff. So I would say maybe that, but yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. Our program is pretty awesome. We're very proud of it, but let's unpack a little bit about what you mean by systems, because most people, like, we hear this word thrown around all the time, but what the hell even are they? So do you have any systems in particular that you're like, wow, like this made a very big difference for me?
Well, the CM hub, which I know even I've just scratched the surface, and it's way better to be able to keep track of where are certain leads coming from, where are they along the pipeline, trying to like organize that on like a spreadsheet or something. Like that would not have been for me. The different automations of scheduling, or just like the nurturing that you guys help with the patient, like trying to improve the patient experience. It's been so good to where like I've shared it with other business owners where I'm like, you got to find something like this because it's so like it's so helpful.
I love it. And just for everyone who's, like, what the heck, CM Hub, that is our tool, our CRM. It's Clinical Marketer Hub. It's where we store all of our practice systems, and we basically provide that to all of our partners on how to leverage. So that's what he means by that. It's a customer relationship management tool, helps us stay track of our patients.
So like trying to make, like, if you use, not that it's wrong, but like trying to have like Active Campaign or MailChimp and then a different form builder and this thing, and that's where with my last job where I was, there were so many moving pieces that it was so hard to organize. And then when I was training in therapists, I'm like, this is not scalable because it like overwhelms people way too much. And I understand why. And CM Hub to me is that solution. It would be cool if we could have it be the actual EMR and I could do my notes on it too.
We're I can't say anything about it, but we're working with a very widely known EMR right now to integrate our CM Hub account with their EMR. Because we have software engineering backgrounds with HIPAA
Yeah.
compliant software. And so there's a lot of synergies there. So
that would be awesome. I mean, it's
that's all
awesome.
I can say, but
It's awesome as it is, but that would make it even more awesome.
Right. Yeah. Exciting stuff. But okay. So you were at it for quite a while, stuck at 2K. You're now in a much better position. Can you talk us through like what were the new adjustments you made, or what helped you get to where you are today, that cracking that 10K month?
Yep, I would say the structure of the calls, so the sales calls or the discovery consults, just like following the script, not verbatim, but trying to stick to it and make it my own. And again, like, I practiced that on my own. I remember I'm a bow hunter. I like hunting. So I was out in the tree stand and I was like going through the different things. So doing some mental rehearsal to try to get more familiar so that you're not just, I don't know. And I called family members and did it. And they're like, yeah, I can tell you're like reading, like make it your own, but stick to it. So getting really comfortable with that. And now it flows well and people relate to it. And they like the idea of how the cash-based model is more personalized. Like I'm not looking, like if they want to work with me long-term for some sort of maintenance type thing, like great, but like I'm wanting them to be independent and they relate to that, and they relate to the not being passed between therapists, or like being one of 5 to 6 clients that I may see in a day versus one of a dozen to 20 if you work in a clinic like that. So that was really, really important. And then also having the confidence to know what you're worth, which I still am working on that. I'm not perfect in it, but like stating your prices and then just like pausing, like shut up. Like there's a part of it where I know you guys have to like, okay, just stop talking, let the client like understand. Don't come to the defense of this is why. Just being comfortable in that. And then there's also like the eval script that I think Ben or even AJ has gone through. When you're actually in the eval, I would try to cram too many things and then be rushed at the end. And you have to, I mean, there's a little bit of an art to that, obviously, with some practice and like hitting on those main points that I guess you're authentic, you're ethical in the way that you sell things. You're not selling them something that you don't think they need, that I wouldn't sell a family member. And if you're selling something that you believe in, you can be confident, and then being okay if they say no. That's been happening less, which is good. But the whole like with leads, like if you've never been in sales, like I was never really in sales, and a lot of times I think we're taught in school, I don't know, you're like taught to fear failure or rejection. But like being okay, like don't take that personal, like learn from it. What was there? Like I had a time where there was I was getting a lot of evals scheduled, but then a lot of clients were no showing. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I worked through stuff with Ty, and we've helped build that up. And it's my no-show rate has been pretty non-existent, knock on wood, last month or so. I know they kind of can come in cycles, but yeah, I think that and then taking advantage of the Facebook advertisements has been huge for me.
I absolutely love when I can ask someone like, what's been the biggest change that this program's been able to help you do? And I love when Facebook ads is like the last thing that they even talk about, because there's so much more that this program, does for people. And so when you say the sales script has been a huge game changer for you, I know you said that, just saying what your price is and, being quiet was like a big thing, but just so someone can leave here today with something that they can try on their next call, like what was like like one game changing thing from the script that we gave you?
I think those well, actually a couple things. Getting some of the micro yeses throughout
Mhm.
the micro commitments, and doing it naturally. But then I think one of the biggest things that has helped me rule in or rule out an appropriate fit for me is the motivation. I think AJ had gone through that on one of the sales
Mhm.
calls. Like on a 0 to 10 scale, don't think about it too hard. 10 is like, you couldn't motivate me anymore to get this figured out and put in the work and the time for it. 0 is I'm not really motivated. And then put the onus on them. And if they're not in that, I mean, 8, 9, 10, maybe 7, but like in that higher range, then maybe ask why. And then being okay, like, well, this might not necessarily be the best fit. Let me help you get to where you would be.
Mhm.
But that has been good because I do think that I maybe bit myself or kicked myself in the butt a little bit, by taking on clients early on when, again, you're kind of desperate to work with anyone, but and you want to treat them well, but then if they're not a good fit and they're not motivated, um, they're going to fall off the schedule. And they're not going to get good outcomes. And I don't need to keep going because that's pretty obvious with most people, I think, that have worked with clients. So
Right. I think that's a really important point. Like the number of people they're rejecting the wrong people is just as important as convincing the right people that you're the right fit for them. Because every single time that you can say no, you're not a good fit for me, I'm going to help you, connect with somebody else. The more conviction you have in telling someone that you are a good fit, because
yeah,
people can sense when you just tell every single person you talk to that they're a good fit. When you genuinely are like, I say no to 20% of the people that I talk to. Here's why you're a good fit.
yeah.
People take that so much differently, and they're more excited to work with you because they can feel that honesty and that authenticity coming from you.
And I think they also have appreciated, um, like I can think of one in particular, like me just helping them find someone who is more qualified. It was a presentation that I'm not comfortable treating, nor do I have the equipment for. And like he was kind of lost for where do I go? I think he was attracted to my model, but I just wasn't the right fit, and I helped him direct him in the right way, and he was very appreciative of that. So
Right. And that stuff feels good too when you can do that stuff even when there's nothing that this person can do for you. They can't pay you, they can't afford your services, but you help them anyway. That's the stuff that feels, sometimes those are my favorite calls that I have, or the people that I know aren't a good fit. So that stuff feels good too.
yeah.
Um, so outside of the tactics and the strategies that we've taught you, I'm just curious, like now that you've seen some pretty drastic growth, you've more than quadrupled since you joined us in just a short period of time. It's been 5 months as of April. So I'm just curious, like, has this growth impacted other areas of your life outside of business?
Uh, yeah, I mean, yeah, it makes it. My wife has always had the dream of being a stay-at-home mom with our kids, and like she has a great job and she enjoys it. But she said my passion is to be a mother, and if I don't know, I just didn't see me being able to provide that for her, with my clinic-based job, just because of the growth ceiling and all of that there. So to have the reality of that, like, be more real, is really neat. And some I sometimes I get emotional about
You
it
can be
because I
emotional,
mean
dude.
it's a real, like, it's a real thing. And like, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing it to honor God. Like, I want people to come in here knowing that I'm going to treat them the way that I would want to be treated. And this has given me the opportunity I'm not there yet, but I'm gonna get there. I have no doubt about it. And then my wife has been incredibly supportive. Um, I don't know, like I would say she's like my rock. And just the encouragement that she gives, and for me to be able to serve her and love her in that way. I don't know, I think it's life changing, and I'm very grateful for you guys to help me be making that more of a reality.
That makes me, it's beyond words can't really describe how good it feels to be able to help you get there. And you obviously you do all of the work. We show you the way, and you've been an absolute dream to get to work with you. And it's really exciting to see how much you've grown in such a short amount of time. So tell me, what does the next 4 to 6 months look like? Where do you want to be 6 months from now?
I want to have a bigger space, and I
Mhm.
want to have potentially have a PT hired on. And it's funny how those things work out. Like my current landlord has another space that is pretty neat in a pretty cool location. I just have to crunch some numbers and maybe see if we can make that a reality. Because where I am right now, I don't think it would really work to hire on a client, or not a client, hire on another part-time PT. But that's where I kind of envision, and I'm excited to keep working with you guys to help. That's the other thing is I feel like the investment that I've made has been incredibly worth it. Not only from a business side, but like just the personal growth type side has been, and I'm really looking forward to the is it Scottsdale? Is it in
Yeah.
Scottsdale? Yeah,
Yep.
to the thing in Arizona in June. So meeting people in person.
Yeah, that event's gonna be nuts. I can't tell you how excited I am for that. It keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
But you're gonna crush it. I have no doubt in my mind that we'll be able to help you find that larger location. There's a lot of alternatives to scaling with the space that you do have, if that is something that we decide together makes the most sense for you. But we can talk about that later. But just
Yeah.
want to thank you for putting in all the hard work, being such a pleasure to work with. The whole team absolutely loves you. We're here for you, no matter what you need. We got your back. And thank you for taking the time to share your journey with everyone here today.
Yeah, no problem. If anyone, I mean, I'm not an expert in it, but if anyone has any questions on my experience, feel free to reach out. I know I've talked to a few people, and I enjoy sharing that because it's been a tremendous help for me. So thank you
Of
guys.
course. Any last minute advice for all the people watching live and for the replay?
I don't know. I would say don't be afraid of hard work, but know that it will pay off.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Words of wisdom. Nathan, thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to being a part of your journey in the months moving forward. Everyone watching, Clinical Marketer, our Cash Practice Accelerator program helps cash PT entrepreneurs break to that 10K, 20K, 30K, even 50K months. We just had one of our clients 1 year from today. He was doing $10,000 a month in his business. We just celebrated him crossing $70,000 cash collected in his practice in March. And so what we're doing over here is not just marketing. We're not in the business of marketing. We're in the business of changing lives. And if you're looking for a complete system that doesn't just teach you marketing, but teaches you how to grow as an individual, teaches you how to build systems to leverage your time more efficiently to create a world-class patient experience, if that's something that you're looking for, drop book inside of the thread beneath this video. We'll follow up with you and get the details in your hands to see if the way that we do things, the style in which we coach, and the hands-on support that we provide makes sense for the time that you have available and for your learning strategy. We'd love to talk with you regardless. But everyone, have a fantastic rest of your day. Again, Nathan, I said it like 4 times, but thank you so much, man. We appreciate the heck out of you.
Yeah, thank you guys. You won't
Right
regret
on
working with you guys.
it. Appreciate that. Later, everybody. Peace.